It's been a long Thanksgiving weekend. Maybe you're disappointed about your NFL team, Survivor Series. You couldn't figure out why did they pack Randy and CM Punk at the same time coming back. Maybe you're thinking about Cyber Monday. Maybe you're disappointed like I was about Napoleon when you saw that in IMAX. Well, forget about all of that because we are going to give you the fallout from one of our new favorite wrestling companies, a company that we have spoke quite a bit about here on the past here in Sportswire Radio, and you've seen many familiar faces. In fact, four of our most recent guests actually wrestled on behalf of this company last weekend, and now this weekend we get a chance to talk about them. And here to talk about with us here this company, which is doing a phenomenal job, especially if you are in the Tennessee area. He is the co-owner of this great company and also the general manager, which means he's got a lot of tough decisions. He's going to talk about those decisions and some. He's had a decorated career in his own right in the ring. He needs no further introduction, but because it's his first time here on Sportswire Radio, he must get that introduction that everybody else gets, and especially some of the people he's even had on his show. So with that, without further ado here on the Sports Report, number one, global sports show. He is the co-owner and general manager of Resurrection Pro Wrestling, Mr. Joseph Tibbs. My friend, how are you?
I am doing wonderful tonight. How are you doing?
Ask me how my voice and how I'm doing after we're done, considering that
Yeah,
introduction.
right?
But be that as it may, it's not about me. It's about you. And I want to say, first of all, it is a tremendous honor, Mr.
Thank
Tip,
you.
to have you here on Sportswire, especially over the past several months. We've heard so much about this company. We've gotten a chance in drips and drabs to watch what you guys bring to the table. You have definitely become one of the premier companies around here,
Oop.
especially in the Tennessee area and elsewhere. So I have to ask you almost the dummy question, especially as people start to tune in here on Sportswire Radio, the number one global radio station. And Joseph Tibbs, for those that are listening and watching on Sportswire Radio, tell us how it all started here with Resurrection Pro Wrestling.
So, Resurrection Wrestling was started. Everybody had a dream. Everybody had, we were wanting to get a promotion started. And Me and myself and stuff, I've been doing wrestling, backyard wrestling and stuff for years and years and years.
Right.
I started in like 2014. And then I got trained. Back then, I was officially a wrestler. Um, I was a professional commentator in the Memphis area for 2 years.
Wow.
I was a manager. I've done it all. Um, so Resurrection was started. Like I said, guys in the backyard and stuff like that. There were some circumstances that how it was started. I will not go into those because it's a very personal subject.
Sure, sure.
So and but Out of that bad stuff that happened, Resurrection came to be. Resurrection has now flourished into a thriving company. We've had some great guys that are with us now. We put on some great shows. If you haven't checked us out on YouTube, definitely go follow our YouTube page. We do shows regularly in the Memphis area, probably about once a month, because it's a lot of money doing these shows. So,
Oh, I know the cost of
um,
these things. People think, oh well, these things cost you a hot dog and a soda. No, it actually, in order to put these shows together, in terms of the cost, in terms of the talent, in terms of the ring itself, and transporting it, and the time. Also, I think the time is the biggest cost almost than anything else because you're basically putting a whole entire day in terms of setting the ring up, taking it
Yep.
down, scheduling everything, writing, booking, then dealing with
Yep.
the talent. The talent are going to certainly want to make sure that they're in the right spots, in the right
Yep.
places. So, really that sacrifice. And if you have a family, I mean, there's a lot of things there that really I think people don't realize in terms of any type of promotion. As somebody and myself who's been doing this for 5 years and has covered
Hmm.
wrestling promotions literally all around the world, I can completely sympathize with that sacrifice, sir.
Yes, it's definitely a sacrifice. We have to take the ring down. We have to load it in the trailer.
Yep.
Everything that we're bringing to these shows and stuff, we have to have it all in the trailer. There's been a couple of times where we have forgotten something. I'm like, no, go back and get it, because we have to be on point with these shows. We cannot have anything half baked or anything else at these shows, because we want to make sure the fans get the money they paid for, their hard-earned money, to watch us.
Oh, no question about that. And I'll certainly have some plugs here in a second when it
Mhm.
comes to Resurrection Wrestling and how you could find out. And I want to ask you a couple of questions specifically on that. And I'll say hello to a few of my comments here in a second and a
Okay.
couple of guests upcoming. I also want to say hello to actually somebody tuned in here who I just connected with, who I haven't connected with in quite a while. That is a woman named Zena, a very
Okay.
pretty woman out there in Brooklyn, New York. And I promised I would give her a shout out. And I'm telling her that I say hello to her, and I'm looking forward to connecting with her very soon. I know she's a very busy person, but she's took a few
Gotcha.
minutes out of her day to say hi. But I'll come to a few of the comments that you'll probably know of in
Okay.
a second. But you've done a lot in the ring. You've obviously done some
Mhm.
stuff outside the ring, and now you've transitioned as this promoter.
Mhm.
What have you learned from your prior experiences as a commentator, let's say doing backyard wrestling, that has
Mhm.
helped you prepare to lead or co-lead, as I should say, Resurrection Wrestling into the company that it is?
So, doing backyard wrestling and doing and having all this experience, with other promotions and stuff over the years, has definitely taught me that, you've got to be on point with this stuff. You cannot have anything like, I'm touching base on that, what I just said. You cannot have anything half baked, because the fans are first and foremost the ones that are going to notice it. Because all this experience that I've had back in the day helped so much with Resurrection now. Um, it's not like we don't know what we're doing and everything else. We have a business mind for this. We want to push all of our guys to go to the stars with this. We want to push everyone to be the best that they can be.
Which is, I think, that should be the goal of any promoter out there. And
Hmm.
there's no question that you guys have some talent. I'm actually going to get to a couple of names, and a name that
Okay.
I actually am supposed to talk about here very soon on Sportswire Radio. But let me say hello to some people. First of all, I want to say hello to my buddy out there from the Northeast Mid-Atlantic area, Mr. Cyrus himself. And Mr. Cyrus, I'm actually going to have an announcement that you'll be curious about for tomorrow night's show for a company that you're a champion for, called Dominant Breakout Wrestling, and they're DBW. And they have one more show for their season coming up called November to Remember, and we'll be talking about
All
that
right.
with a guest coming up. Yep, they're at DBW, Dominating Breakout Wrestling on YouTube. They have a massive following. Dominant Backyard Wrestling on YouTube as well. We'll definitely plug Mr. Cyrus. He's their global champion. I'll get to him. I want to say hello to my guest coming up later in the week, Mr. Omen Black, who says the boogeyman of the Midwest is here because it's his show, because technically it is his show. He is a huge part of things over in the IMF. And
Awesome.
Mr. Joshua Allen, Mr. Allen, I want to talk about actually because he's here. Now, he did some double duty for you. He was doing some refereeing. He
He
was doing
did.
some announcing. Now, you guys have done a lot of work with Tennessee Backyard Wrestling. And that's really where I've gotten to know you guys from, that
Hmm.
partnership. We've seen you guys on Battlefield with the TBW versus Resurrection feud. Man, that
Yeah.
used to get my blood pump. I hope we see more of that next season. I know our TBW fans are going to certainly want to hopefully see more of that as well, like I do. But, talk about the relationship that you've had with TBW and somebody like a Joshua Allen, who's really
Okay.
done a great job in terms of getting out there, and his voice. I mean, his voice, literally, he's got one of the best voices out there. His enthusiasm for being out there in the ring, his love for this sport and this business. So talk about maybe TBW, but first of all, Joshua Allen and working with him.
Okay. Uh, Yeah, working with Josh has been awesome. He helped us a lot on Fallout, where he did pull double duty at the show.
Yes.
Sorry about that, brother. But
I asked him that on
um,
Monday show. I think you were listening. I was like, "How did you pull that off?" And he was like, kind of like humming, and I would be the same way.
yeah, he actually did. It was a very big honor to be with Josh at the commentary table. He's one of the best voices for wrestling. Phenomenal job, and then do reffing that match with the big guys. Gunnar Morgan and Shane Davidson.
And
That
Shane
was
Davidson, we saw yesterday on the show. We saw
yep.
him Thursday, and he definitely looks like an Armageddon or an artist formerly known as the Southern Bulldozer.
He really does. He is such a big guy, and he definitely knows how to throw his weight around the ring. Phenomenal worker. Um, and then Josh having to do a match as well at Fallout, and I couldn't have been more proud of Joshua Allen.
Absolutely, no question about that. This is somebody that his enthusiasm, and when you have somebody like that wants to do so many different things, you've done some of that.
Hmm.
What does that do for the talent in the company that works solely for you? We'll get to some of those names in a few minutes, but what do you think it shows to them? Because you look at in the wrestling business,
Hmm.
doesn't matter what form, where you are, if you have a certain type of enthusiasm, being a certain type of go-getter, I really think to the rest of the people that you're working or sharing a locker room with, I think it goes a long way in fostering a productive environment, and it keeps them also, the people that you have, kind of wanting to go further also to where you
Hmm.
want them to go.
So and I'm just going to touch base on this just real quick.
Sure.
So when we started Resurrection and stuff, me and the West Memphis kid Ronnie Brady,
Yep,
we
we're going to talk about him.
uh,
Yep.
got you. So when we started it, we made a promise to each other, and that promise was we are not going to run this company like everyone else. We wanted to be better for the next generation, because we know, as two wrestlers that were trained in the old style and stuff coming up and everything else. We were beaten and everything else to get trained and stuff like that, and
Sure.
we weren't going to be training other guys for the new generation the same way. You can train somebody and still have a productive outcome and still make sure they retain everything, and you don't have to be that kind of a person.
So would you say then, how would your experiences on how you were trained maybe shaped you into terms of the product that you would like to have, or the type of people maybe that you would like to train, let's say?
So how it molded me, it was because that I was trained a certain way and stuff, and Ronnie was trained a certain way, and we were like, you know when we do this, we're going to not treat these people the same way. We want to be different, and it's very much paid off. It is paid off in full. um all of our guys and stuff like that, very, very humble. um how they were trained, everything else, man, like, they are some of the most awesome guys, have the most awesome attitudes and stuff, and they just keep wanting more and to do better and better and better, and I couldn't ask for a better group, bunch of guys.
No question about that. And if you're here with us on YouTube, LinkedIn, Twitter, and on sportswireradio.org, our brand new website, I'd like you to support Resurrection Wrestling. You can do that
Thank
on
you.
Instagram and YouTube. YouTube at Resurrection Wrestling, Instagram at Resurrection Pro Wrestling, and their most recent show is on their YouTube page called
Hmm.
Fallout. So make sure you check them out and all the great content that the company has to offer. And my name is the Reverend Tom Bryce, your voice of all wrestling. And I want to get to a few more comments before I forget. Want to say hello to my buddy, Mr. Ace Reed, all the way in Australia. It's 1:24 p.m. And there goes my lights. But it's 1:24 p.m. Eastern time where he is. And he's a host of the Wired Up podcast. He says hello. And also Mr. Allen
What's
here as
going
I'm
on, man?
holding. Yep, he's in Australia. And Mr. Allen says he appreciates the kind words, and it's an honor and a blessing to be in this partnership. So, I mean, obviously, you have a partnership with TBW, and talk about how it's benefited you guys by having them and their massive following.
So when we started working with TBW, we had first worked with them. I had first met Atomic Titan when they had this. I think it was BCW way back in the day, a couple years back, and I met Atomic Titan out there, and then started talking and stuff, and eventually, we wanted to come down to TBW and work with them, and it's been a wrap ever since. I mean, we've met everyone. Everybody is so nice, so willing to do, to make us feel comfortable, and we do the same for them. And it's been just great partnership. I couldn't have asked for to work with someone better.
No question about that. And you can follow Tennessee Backyard Wrestling on all their portals, and especially YouTube, coming up at TBW 2017. And it's got to help that they've got almost 6,000 subscribers on their YouTube page, and almost everybody wants to talk about TBW. Everybody wants to be on TBW. It's a who's who of people that want to be on this. So, by the way, it helps for business. And what's best for business is to work with those that have the following. And TBW, listen, anytime on Sportswire, right, I talk TBW. You get people left and right that want to talk about it. Whether they like it or not, they talk Tennessee Backyard Wrestling. Any TBW show, whether it's the premium show, the Rampage show, you name it, gets thousands upon thousands of views. So it also helps the business to have TBW and that massive following that they have on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook.
It does. And we're trying to expand our social media outlets right now. We're trying to get more traffic on TikTok. We're trying to get more traffic on YouTube and Instagram right now. I mean, it's a process. You have to work at it. It is definitely a process. And we will just keep trying to get better and better.
Well, I have no doubt that you'll definitely get better, and I apologize there because unfortunately I had a light and my light tower kind of fell, and I'm trying to fix it and adjust it, but we'll hopefully...
Oh, you're fine.
Okay, cool. No problem. But yeah, so also a number of talent in TBW you've also had, and I want to talk about some because you referenced the Atomic freaking Titan, who is now the hardcore king, and everybody's got to respect him, and he's the hardcore champion. So let's kind of talk about and transition to some of the talent that we see in TBW and Resurrection, and have to start off with right off the bat here because he's been one of the more memorable guests in Sportswire radio history, and we are talking about none other than the only Grand Slam winner in the entire history in TBW, that is Mr. Atomic freaking Titan.
Yeah, definitely Atomic Titan. He became the hardcore champion. He's going through this thing where he wants everybody to respect him and everything. I was like, man, best thing I can tell you, dude, is respect is not given, it is earned.
So then you're not impressed then so far with this new Atomic Titan.
You know what? I will say that until Titan really, really, really shows me that hardcore side of him, I'm not impressed.
So you don't think though that what he's done recently in TBW, taking the hardcore title, being in there, mixing it up with the likes of Jacob Young and the Grim Reaper Joe Anderson, I mean, you're not impressed so much with that then?
I can't. You were cutting out.
I said you are not as impressed than what the Atomic freaking Titan has done, let's say, when it comes to the likes of the Grim Reaper Joe Anderson or Jacob Young, my guest coming up Tuesday. So you're not so impressed. You don't think then that the Atomic Titan's been that hardcore?
I mean,
those guys.
Yeah, I mean, he says he's a hardcore champion, but I mean, you're gonna have to make that title mean something, man. Like, have it to where it's you are defending it hardcore style, man. Like, be really hardcore with it.
So you're not, but you, so you don't think then that he's not been so hardcore? He's the hardcore king, though.
Oh yeah, I mean he can call himself the hardcore king all he wants, but at the end of the day, I don't respect him.
Well, you know what? That's very fascinating. But I have a comment here specifically. I'll come back to that, but I want to get to Mr. Cyrus, and he is a very well-traveled individual. And again, his company has a massive following as well, and they do a great
Gotcha.
job. And we'll have coverage for them tomorrow night. I'll get to that announcement. But he says maybe yours truly is going to have to take a gander at what Resurrection and TBW has to offer. Now, I'm curious because Cyrus wrestles for a company in Maryland, very similar to yours. DBW's probably been around a lot longer, so they have a little bit more of a different institutional following. Certainly, TBW and DBW may have
Okay.
the same number of views, the same number of subscribers. It's a wash there on that standpoint. But are you guys looking to recruit talent from different places? I mean, he's certainly a well-traveled, well-established talent who's been in the game for 20 plus years. I mean, are you guys always looking to take on new talents? Uh, I think we lost you there, sir. I had asked if you were looking to take on some new talents. Uh,
Oh yes,
yeah,
we are always looking to. Had connection issues or something. We are always looking for new talent, and we're always looking for guys that want to come in and get trained and stuff like that, man. Because like training the next generation of guys that want to be in this business and want to make something of themselves as a professional wrestler. That you know we can do that, man. Like, and I don't care what walk of life they come from. You could literally be tall, skinny, fat, doesn't matter. As long as you get trained the right way, then we'll shoot you to the stars.
Okay, fair enough. So obviously, Cyrus would definitely be somebody that I would love to see in any promotion. And certainly, he
Yep.
is our global champion in DBW. But let's talk about a couple of other talents here in TBW. First of all, the
Okay.
Nature Boy Gage Flair. I mean, boy, I tell you what, every time I see the Nature Boy Gage Flair, I am ready to jump out of my seat and start doing the strut, the woos. And, he is certainly a larger than life personality. He might be the most larger than life personality that TBW, maybe anywhere in this sport, has to offer. I mean, maybe he is the heir apparent to Ric Flair. He certainly can move a lot better than him these days. But, what's it like having the Intercontinental Champion of TBW, of course, the legendary Gage Flair?
Working with Gage has been awesome. Gage is, as you said, has that larger than life attitude, and he has been wonderful to work with. Come out, kiss stealing, wheeling, dealing, son of a gun all the time at the shows and stuff, man. He comes out with the robe, and the fans love it. The fans will eat it up. And it's a very, very great time.
Absolutely. Yes. And even when he's somebody that, like, I guess they're trying to he's trying to do the rule breaking and he's trying to do the bad things, the people still they can't
Yep.
not like him. He's hard not to like him. And also, a couple of other talents. Now, you mentioned Armageddon Shane Davidson and
Mhm.
then the trendsetter Alan Michaels, who was on here yesterday. I feel like that these guys have a lot of untapped potential. I look at them and I don't know where we go with these guys. I think we're starting to see them become real players in TBW. You've obviously had a huge part in seeing them at Fallout. And Alan Michaels, I mean, he beat Fat Asian. He beats the Texas
Mhm.
Hangman. I mean, he hung right in there with Rage, who's been the world champion. I mean, he's a guy that he can talk. He can certainly do a lot more than people give him credit in the ring. And then you've got, conversely, Armageddon Shane Davidson, who I look at him and I don't know what it is about him, but he's, in a way, to me, almost like a young Kevin Nash. He's got that ability where if he can just maybe put it together in a couple different things, he can definitely get there. But there's just a lot of potential. And, what's your observations on these guys, especially who've lately come on in TBW, like an Armageddon Shane Davidson and the trendsetter Alan Michaels?
Shane Davidson, man, he, like you said, he moves like Kevin Nash. He's
He's,
a phenomenal big guy.
yep.
He can definitely throw his weight around and be that big guy, be that monster that everyone is scared of and fears and stuff when he comes to the ring. Um, very, very good talent. And oh shit.
Alan Michaels, the trendsetter.
Yeah. I'm sorry. Alan Michaels, for being a big guy, he can move, man. He moves like he looks like Kevin Steen.
Yeah, he's got a little bit of that personality. He's kind of got like a mix. I think the Staying Trendy show reminds me of what the old Jericho shows used to be, where Jericho would come out. He's got a little bit of that vibe to him, but then you watch him in the ring, and he's kind of deceptively good in his moveset. He's tough as well.
He's tough as nails, man. He comes out and he can move like Kevin Steen and take all the bumps with the best of them, man. He went, as you said, he went toe to toe with Rage, and Rage was the world heavyweight champion, and he held his own against Rage, and that was phenomenal.
Absolutely, no question about that. As I'm fixing my mic here, that's not going to work. Gage Flair is the real deal here. Yeah, Gage Flair is definitely the real deal. Thank you for that. And then, obviously, also, I should probably ask you about Fat Asian, who's been the TBW world champion, and you also had him quite a bit in these shows. And what's your impressions of a Fat Asian?
Fat Asian, so this was my, I believe, second time meeting Fat Asian. The first time when he came down, he didn't work and stuff. Just came to watch. And the second time he, which was at Fallout, he came to wrestle, and seeing his work in the ring and how he presented himself and stuff, it like very, very good, very, very good. I was very surprised. He took to it, and pandered to the fans and stuff like that.
He's the party animal. I mean,
he is the party animal. It's a party anytime Fat Asian's in the building, man.
He definitely is here. And I want to give a comment to Cyrus here. I will say this: the partnership that you have with TBW is something special, and I honestly look forward to seeing what the future holds for both of you. I want to address this for a second and tell me your thoughts, because obviously now you've obviously had a company here, and I want to get to Ronnie as well. And I actually want to bring somebody on here in a few minutes who wants to say a few things to you. It's a good thing. Somebody you'll know, so it's good.
Yeah.
But the point is that I've been doing this a while. I haven't been in the business as long as you. I'm not in the business, but I've done 5 years worth of interviews, so I've gotten a chance.
Yeah.
I get a feel of things, and it's very hard to have an open door with companies. It's very hard to have a relationship or a partnership, you might say. I mean, I do a lot of stuff in the UK and independent wrestling there, and the politics there. It's like, I mean, it's ridiculous. I mean, I don't want to get into it. You'll probably understand as a promoter, but the point
I totally understand.
But the point is that what you have with Tennessee Backyard Wrestling is really something special, because most companies don't have that for different reasons. And I don't want to get into that, but just talk about maybe how unique it is that you have this relationship with TBW.
I mean, like, the partnership that we have with TBW is definitely a special one, because everybody gets along. Everybody is wanting to do better and wanting to better themselves. And, we conduct ourselves in a business manner, because it's not just, back then in the early days, it was all for fun. Now it's business.
Sure.
So, every time that we get in the ring or try to do an indie show, it's all business, because at that point, when TBW comes down, they do a phenomenal job, and the fans love it. They love TBW. We've had a bunch of people from the indie shows, go take pictures and everything else. Then they'll go, have sign autographs, and it's definitely has been a wild ride, and it's definitely been special. And I can't wait to see what TBW and Resurrection provide in 2024.
Let me ask you a follow-up question. I mean, are you always looking to work with other places, let's say in the Tennessee area? I'm just curious, just in hearing that. I mean, because obviously to have a company like TBW, was it something that you look for? I mean, or was this kind of like an organic relationship with TBW?
This was kind of an organic relationship, how this started. And we were, I think Titan had talked to me about it, and we were like, do y'all want to possibly do a TBW and Resurrection partnership. I'm like, dude, that's awesome. Let's go. And we've been, partners ever since that day. I mean, that we're coming up on 2024. This is, I think we've gone a full year with the partnership of TBW.
Yeah, because I think I remember it was maybe like late winter you guys started working with them, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
I remember, because I've been doing this a while with TBW and covering the company. I want to say February or March was like the first show with some of the guys in the roster, if I'm not mistaken, right around that time. Makes sense. Okay, cool.
It does.
If you're on Sportswire Radio, I'd like for you to give us a follow. You can do that here and watch all of our shows here on our YouTube page. We have a new YouTube page at Sportswire Radio 6579 Backspace Streams, where you can check out all of our great content. We also have a new blog where we'll write up some of the write-ups about all things related to future Sportswire Radio guests. You can check us out at tumblr.com/Sportswire Radio. So check us out there. We might be writing about you next. And also, if you want to follow our very good friends at Resurrection Wrestling, YouTube at Resurrection Wrestling, watch that Fallout show. Instagram, Resurrection Pro Wrestling. And my name is the Reverend Tom Bryce, your voice of all wrestling. And again, we're also on sportswireradio.org, our new website, where we have an events calendar, which we put on Mr. Tibbs on that calendar. And if you want to watch our shows, listen to them, you can do that anytime, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. And I will be back with more coverage tomorrow night, 9 o'clock Eastern time, with Mr. Jackson Saber of Dominant Breakout Wrestling. Jackson's going to be here and talk about November to Remember and where he goes from here, and maybe talk about the It Factor, Cyrus. So you will not want to miss this one here on YouTube at Sportswire Radio. You can check it again out, sportswireradio.org, and also you can check me out on Instagram at the Sports Report 2021, and also you can most certainly check out DBW on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter, and we will have more coverage with them again Monday, 9 o'clock Eastern time, and then Wednesday we're back a little after 3 o'clock Eastern time with the Stompers who've been tag team champions in a number of different places. But as I promised to you, Mr. Tibbs,
yep,
I have a guest that wants to say hello to you and show his appreciation and show his thanks for working with you. So let me do that here. He has got the best pipes in the business. He has been a former world champion, referee. This man has done it all. He is the legendary Mr. Joshua Allen, the owner and founder of our very dear friends over at TV Dub. Mr. Allen, how are you, my friend?
Tom, doing good, man. Joe, good to see you. Want to come on there for a little bit?
Good to see you, man.
It's an honor and a privilege. It's good to see you too, man. It's an honor and a privilege to be working with you in this partnership. It's been a great partnership. I know our guy. It reminds me of the old territory days of going back and forth, putting people here, going there. And I love the old days of wrestling. It reminds me of that. So and I've really enjoyed this partnership with everyone there, and the Fallout event, tremendous. Like I said on the last one, the thing I was here, I said, give a little Jimmy Controversy plug. Having Jimmy Controversy a part of an event alone,
get to Jimmy Controversy.
It's huge.
Good enough.
That's huge. To me, when you get a guy like that knows that has been doing this, whether it's the Grimm's Toy Show, Rob Fury's SWF, or his own Pro Wrestling Venom, it's huge for business. And like Joe said earlier, when it was back in the day, it was all for the fun, just to see what we can do. And now that we're older and we're into the years now and getting to where we are now, it's become a business. It has to be that way, because when you get a following like these guys have, or we have, you have to make it a business. And a lot of people, they might not like that way, but in a way you have to be a business. You have to be professional.
But that's the goal in anything, right? I mean, I was just speaking with somebody a few hours ago, and he was talking about doing different things, and I'm like, well, isn't your goal eventually to be where you can make it a business, where you can do it to the point that it doesn't become this highly time costly hobby that, basically it's a labor of love, as they say. Isn't that the end of the day, the goal is to make this something where you can do this maybe in a way where it becomes something that it can be a business and for people to want to be a part of it. And you can also create things for people that want to also keep them to continue to do it and not just be this labor of love that takes away so much time and people look at it and say, oh, what are you doing?
Right. I mean, we've got to that point, of wanting to maybe go to that next step, like Resurrection, they'll do they'll do their episode taping in the yard, which I've noticed that their actual events will be at the gymnasium, which is a very, very beautiful, nice venue.
Absolutely. I mean, that gym you guys got that you're in, watching Fallout. And I mean, you guys got one of the best places in the business to have an opportunity to go out there and compete in.
Oh, for sure. And I'll tell you what, like when we went out there, I was like, because a lot of the Memphis crowd has seen some of our guys before, like Titan, like Fleur. They know them. They've already seen them. I'll be honest with you, with me going out there, it was like butterflies. I was nervous.
But you're Joshua Allen. You're the legendary Joshua Allen. And you got the butterflies there.
Well, thank you. Well, it just, because with it being a Memphis crowd, I didn't know how these people would take me.
Yes,
because
they've never did a Monday show. Yep.
They've never seen the Painmaker. They've never seen me. Actually there before, and it was to be able to work with Joe on the commentary booth. And having the referee spot, and plus the impromptu match, which I didn't expect. I did not expect the impromptu match at all.
But what do they always
like I said, Ronnie Brady.
Listen, what do they say though in this sport? You always got to have your boots handy on you. Always got to have your gear, because you never know.
Right.
Listen, in this sport, there's no like, oops, I forgot my gear. They'll send you out there. I mean, that's kind of how it goes.
Right.
Yep.
Ronnie approached me. I know I said this on the one I was on. He said, "Hey man, you're working on it." I said, "What? Excuse me?" Huh? He's like, I told Ronnie, I said, if I knew that, I would have brought my trunk, because I didn't know it was off the cuff. But hey, I went out there with Spooder, man. It was a good little quick match. It was fun. I enjoyed it. I had this one older gentleman. He got behind me, and I thank you, sir, for that, wherever you may be. I appreciate that. It was really cool to be able to get in front of that audience and, be able to work, do what you love to do. And it was the first time for me to experience that. And I can definitely not wait to go back again. Hopefully in the next time for January of next year for the lockdown event. I believe we're having a lockdown event. I don't want to spoil anything, but I've heard.
I don't know if you did. We were kind of saved that at some point, but I guess you basically kind of stole the thunder there. And while you did that, Mr. Allen, I want to say hello to a couple of people. I want to say hello to my buddy, Mr. Anthony Arias. And of course, Anthony Arias is a huge part of things over at the Backyard Wrestling Nexus. And he has also done a lot of things with the SGW, and he's got his own show. And I think he's expecting to come onto Sportswire Radio soon, which we will. We will definitely make it happen. We were supposed to do it a couple months ago, but he had an emergency, and we haven't got a chance to reschedule it. So I want to make sure I say hello to Mr. Arias and promise that we will schedule him before the year is out. And also, speaking of people that I want to say hello to, especially when it comes to our very dear friends at Resurrection Pro Wrestling, the champ is here, Mr. Ronnie Brady.
Yep.
And he says it point blank. The champ is here. Business is the most important. And what do they always say famously? Business is about to pick up. Ronnie Brady is in the house. And fellas, what do you want to say to the champ? What do you want to say about him? The floor is yours.
Well,
Ronnie,
okay.
Go ahead.
I thought it was you.
I mean, he's your guy, man. Go ahead.
Go ahead, bro.
All right. What a match. They had this build of the wild beast Adrian Prince, tough as nails, and if I could quote Jim Ross, tougher than a $2 steak. And what a competitor. And Ronnie, came out of the end with victorious. He's not the West Memphis kid for no slouch. He's not the world champ for nothing. and he got the job done in the Falls Anywhere match, and that was a hard, grueling match. Both men put it all on the line. Adrian Prince was hungry to get that gold, but at the end of the night, the West Memphis Kid came out on top and got the 1, 2, 3 outside of the gym floor.
What do you want to say, Mr. Tibbs, about our champion? And he is here, and I'm sure you'll certainly echo or maybe give us some different comments even at the same time.
Yeah, Ronnie, the West Memphis Kid, definitely put it all out on the line that night. Went up against the beast Adrian Prince, which, as Joshua said, he was hungry coming into that match. Very much wanted that gold. He wanted to take it from the West Memphis Kid, and I don't know if anybody saw, but there was a point in that match where Ronnie had picked up a chair and hurled it at Adrian Prince,
yes,
and it caught him right on the head. That was vicious as all get out. I really thought he got knocked out. And for the curb stomp that was on that cinder block, Adrian Prince had a little bit of hard trouble trying to get back up after the fact that the West Memphis Kid stomped him into oblivion.
I can't blame him. Think
Joe,
about
just
it. What
some
you
kind words for your world
wow,
champ,
and
my
what
man.
a surprise
Just some
here.
kind words
As
for
we
your world
always say,
champ.
business literally does pick up, and literally right
Gentlemen,
here live,
appreciate the
we've got
kind
the
words.
champion.
Thank you very much. I'm
How you
tuning
doing,
in
champ?
live for
Do you want to say anything, champ, to the audience?
Plain and simple, everybody. It is fantastic. Sportswire Radio. You got to keep watching this man. Does some of the best interviews in the wrestling sphere. He's got the voice for it.
I appreciate that. And we even got one of my friends, a pretty young woman not too far from me, that actually tuned in the first few minutes. She's like, wow, I didn't realize you actually did have a good voice for wrestling. She was like, wow, you really sound good on the air. So, yes, I appreciate the kind words. So, certainly, check is in the mail, fellas. Certainly, definitely thank you for the kind words. But, anything else you want to say, champ? Maybe one day, I was thinking, right, because you're the champion, maybe we got to get you on the air one of these days to talk about Resurrection Pro Wrestling,
Absolutely. We can, I'll let you pick a day, ask me if I'm free, and I'll make the time to be on the show.
I'll do it the minute I'm off the air. I'll do it right after I'm off the air. We'll make that happen very soon.
Just a lot of things. Resurrection, we're doing the best that we can. We're trying to make it every single day, and I know that Josh Allen spoiled it for you, but the GM and myself are in the room, so we're just going to say it right now. Next month, not next month, but January of the year, we're going to be having lockdown, all steel cage matches. You'll see myself and Adrian Prince in a groundbreaking rematch in the cage.
Can I just say one more follow-up to this? Speaking about business right now, I think the line we used a few minutes ago, if you don't mind me saying this, is best for business right now. I'm sure you guys saw not too long ago that Mr. Allen and Mr. Titan had a war of words, right? And I'm sure that you saw Mr. Allen and Mr. Titan. They don't like each other. Now, obviously, I'm not the booker. It's not my promotion. But, maybe at the very least, I would think that Mr. Allen and Mr. Titan, maybe they might be in the same building on the 27th of January. And, maybe you could think about that. Obviously, don't spoil anything tonight. Don't tell us anything. But, if it's possible and they're in the same building, maybe at the very least they could have a chat with each other on the air, live. Maybe, could be something there if these individuals, since they seem like they're regulars in Resurrection Pro Wrestling, maybe those fans there in Memphis might want to see at least an exchange of words or a friendly chat, you might want to say, between Mr. Allen and Mr. Titan, because they don't seem like they see eye to eye, at least from what I see these days.
No, they definitely don't see eye to eye. But, I mean, what they say in wrestling, another thing they say is never say never. So you never know what's going to happen at a Resurrection show. Absolutely. We've had some shocking debuts. I mean, at the Rumble, we had several people that like high-level indie guys. Jimmy Controversy was at the last show.
I got to give you credit on Jimmy Controversy, because Jimmy Controversy, I'm going to be seeing in the ring coming up on January the 6th for our friends over at the TF Crew in Connecticut, because he's supposed to be wrestling one of my more upcoming guests who is finally supposed to come on next week. That is Hardcore and Jimmy Controversy. This has been a match here in the Northeast that has been promoted for weeks. So to have Jimmy Controversy and to see him in your company live, flesh in the wound, and I get a chance to watch him at Resurrection when I saw him at Fallout, and now I'm going to be talking about him real soon with Hardcore. I mean, that's just to have him is a real treat.
That's a full circle moment for you, definitely, and it was fantastic to have him. I'd love to have Jimmy back as soon as possible, but I'm gonna turn it back over to the man himself and let you get back to chatting. But definitely let me know when you want me on the show.
Yes, I'm going to do that right after we're off the air. Thank you so much. And again, Resurrection Wrestling, YouTube, Resurrection Wrestling, Instagram, Resurrection Pro Wrestling. Boy, you just never know what happens here in this business. Joshua Allen's here, then disappears. And you know what's funny? As I brought up the Atomic Freaking Titan, as you noticed, Mr. Allen just disappears. It was almost all of a sudden, it was like, uh-oh, the bat signal came on. Joshua Allen hears Atomic Titan being mentioned. Got to move off the show. And apparently, it looks like Mr. Allen wants to come back on, and maybe he wants to say something. You know, Mr. Allen, I'm sure you heard our reigning defending Resurrection champion, the West Memphis Kid, Ronnie Brady. And I was talking about the Atomic Titan. I was saying on January 27th at Lockdown that maybe if you're in the building and Mr. Titan's in the building, maybe you could exchange some pleasantries, say hello to each other. Then all of a sudden you disappeared in the screen. And my first thought, Mr. Allen, was all of a sudden he heard the Atomic Titan and he's just ready to head for the exits. And, you know, maybe you're thinking, you know what? I don't want to go there with the Atomic Freaking Titan. Maybe I just want to pay my respect and let him have the floor only on the 27th of January. So I'm glad you came back because I was starting to think there that maybe you were starting to look to pay some respects to our hardcore king, the Atomic Freaking Titan.
Well, I know they mentioned the January event of next year, the lockdown, little TNA throwback, if you will.
I love those TNA old lockdowns,
honestly,
by the way. Loved that.
Yep. You know, if I can make the trip for January for the event and Titan shows up, you know, he's got this idea where he thinks that he's the hardcore king.
And I think clearly, Mr. Allen, it's getting to him. You know, you can tell that it's getting to him. You could tell that the personal clashes, you can see the dislike, the disdain between them. And this is why, by the way, January 27th, we got to start promoting this now. Because think about, and we got to talk about some talents that I think we might be seeing coming on Sportswire Radio, like D'Angelo Flame, Rage, the Texas Hangman. I mean, you've got some big time stars here before Mr. Allen comes back. You know, let's talk about some of the stars that we're going to expect to see. We saw Ronnie Brady here, but let's talk about some of the big names that we're going to see also on that 27th of January lockdown show.
So we have we have Rage that's going to be there. We have Adrian Prince. We've got the West Memphis Kid. You know, obviously having that rematch against Adrian Prince, and it's going to be in that cage. So there's not going to be anywhere to go. You can't hide anywhere. You can't go anywhere. You're standing across the ring from your opponent at all times, and you know, Ronnie can't run at all. He can't. He can't run away. So Adrian Prince is really got to go gunning for the West Memphis Kid.
Well, we're going to certainly find out. Now, Mr. Allen, I'm going to let you try to speak again here. I'm starting to think, though, maybe you're starting to get a little bit, you know, it's getting to you a little bit between you and the Atomic Freaking Titan. And I know you were talking about if there's a possibility you might be there on the 27th of January before we got disconnected.
Well, I know we said the lockdown event is in January of 2024. This whole thing with me and Titan, it's been the buzz of Sportswire. Honestly, it's been the topic every time.
You know what? I'm going to go on the record as the host of the Sports Report, the owner of Sportswire Radio, your voice of wrestling, the Reverend Tom Bryce. I'm more interested in this than CM Punk. I'm more interested in this than Randy Orton because I think this is the talk of the sport right now. People are wondering. Titan and Allen. I mean, you think about the stars that could collide between the two of you, the friction. I mean, you thought Brett and Shawn was bad. You thought Becky and Charlotte was bad. I mean, you just wait what we could potentially see with you two guys. I mean, I tell you what, I think 24/7 in my mind, I'm not thinking anything else but Titan and Allen. What's going to happen? And I think it's the talk really, not just of the Sportswire world, but the entire sport.
Well, I mean, as those three famous letters, Tom, never say never. And he's not been trashing me. He's been trashing the trendsetter. He's been trashing, people that actually give a rat's rear end about the promotion. But
Jacob Young, who we're going to
Yep.
see Tuesday, he's been going after him. In fact, he's
Yep.
been going after Jacob Young so much that Jacob Young has requested a microphone Tuesday night live here, 8:30 p.m., to address the Atomic freaking Titan. And he's going to go off and say who knows
Right.
what else, because he's Jacob freaking Young.
like I said on the Sportswire I was on, I don't know what is going through the mind of Jacob Young. I think in Young's mind, he might have corrupted Titan. But, like I said, I've always had to say, it's so long until the true colors get revealed. So next year in January, if I can make the trip and if Titan shows up there, I've really been itching to get the choke slam his ass through a ring mat for a long time. So this thing has been going on for 6.5 long years since this whole feud has began. And if Titan has got the guts, if the King has got the guts to have a confrontation in the ring, then hey, I'll be there if I can make it. If I can make it, we'll see what happens. So it all lies in Joe's hands. So
Well,
the 20s, if he
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, I'll tell you what, we'll have to wait and see. But if you want to follow Tennessee Backyard Wrestling, you better do that on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook at Tennessee Backyard Wrestling, YouTube at TBW 2017, where you can watch Rampage 155 and see the Atomic freaking Titan in the flesh and wound address the TBW fan base, to address the universe, to address the nation. And who knows what else is to come, because we have one more Rampage and then we have the season finale coming up all here in the next month. That is why you want to follow TBW. And if you haven't got a chance to watch the Atomic Titan, Armageddon Shane Davidson, the Trendsetter Alan Michaels, the Party Animal, Fat Asian, the Nature Boy, Gage Flair, and Joshua Allen on Resurrection TV, you go to Resurrection Wrestling on YouTube and watch full. Gentlemen, I want to ask you guys both this question the same, because I know Mr. Allen's a busy man. I don't know how much more time he has with us, and we're coming toward the second half of the show here. We got to see this summer TBW and Resurrection. We saw you, Mr. Tibbs, and Beast. And boy, what a confrontation that was. We saw this team, TBW, Team Resurrection. Now, don't spoil anything for us, but do you think maybe conversely, next season on TBW TV, on Rampage shows, premium events, whether it's anniversary, whether it's whatever it might be that it'll happen on TBW shows next year, could we see maybe more collaborations between Resurrection stars versus Tennessee Backyard Wrestling stars on TBW TV, hopefully next season?
I definitely think that's probably going to happen, because working with Josh and working with TBW and stuff, we want to make them look as good as they can be, and we want to make sure they do the same for us. And it has been just a really great partnership, and you will definitely see more of Resurrection on TBW and TBW on Resurrection.
I would certainly love that, and I want to say hello to somebody else here. Anthony Arias said the GOAT has arrived. Well, that's to be debatable, but certainly we'll certainly, like I said, we're going to get Anthony Arias on Sportswire. I promise you. It's a list that I'm going for. I want to say hello to my buddy Adonis Felios from WCE. Evening, Tom. What's up, Resurrection? TBW in the house. Excellent stuff here. Is there anything else, Mr. Allen, that you'd like to get off your chest? Anything else that you'd like to say or talk about here for the audience on Sportswire?
Well, like I said, it's been a privilege working with these guys down there in Memphis, going there, them coming up here to TBW, and it's been a tremendous partnership, and I'm looking forward to the future and things to come between the two promotions, the two companies. And I think it's going to be a lot of good for 2024, and maybe wrestling in general for us and for them. And January of next year, the lockdown event, as Joe and Ron just said, all matches will be contested in a steel cage. And like I said minutes ago, if the self-proclaimed hardcore crybaby is going to be there, then
But he may
well,
not be a
something
crybaby, though. Listen, I mean, he's got the belt. I'll continue to say it. He's got the gold, though. He's the only Grand Slam winner in TBW history. And in this sport, how many people do we know are Grand Slam winners? I mean, I'm going to continue to say it because he's not here.
Well, I mean, people's got their opinions. Love him or hate him, and I'm on the not so well terms campaign here, but it's just I will give him credit on one thing.
All right,
one thing.
Do it.
One thing. He has done a lot, for this promotion. I'll give him credit on that.
Yeah.
But
he's the biggest draw. Listen, when he goes on live, when he talks, when he posts, I mean, the Atomic Titan, I mean, he really is the Titan. I mean, when the Atomic Titan speaks, people say, how far, how high? I mean, he's got a certain aura. He's got a certain following that whether you love him or not, he really is one of the guys that has continued to carry this company on his back, even when he was quote unquote failing, as some would say, even when he was trying to write the next chapter in the story, when he was chasing for gold. I mean, at the end of the day, whether he was the American Dragon or the Hardcore King, whatever it might be, at the end of the day, when the Atomic Titan speaks, the people seem to want to tune in.
Well, he's got a following. He does, whether you love him or not. It's a following in itself. But, I've known him for 6.5 years, Tom, and this whole thing has got to legit come to an end. Like I told him a long time ago, I don't care if it's in TBW, our turf, or it goes to Memphis. I don't care which. And the last live he was on, if anybody saw it, he had some little bit of remarks. There's a certain line you don't cross in the wrestling business, Tom and Joe, and it's when you bring family into it, that gets a little bit personal. He wants to pull the personal strings with me, and that don't sit well with me, fellas. And January of next year, if I can make the trip, if I can get down there, will there be a confrontation? There could be. Could there be a match? I don't know. It's like I said, it's up to Joe's hands. It's up to Ronnie's hands. It's not my call. It's their call. But before I hop off here, I'm going to say it's been a tremendous honor, a blessing to be able to work with Resurrection Pro Wrestling. It's been a great partnership, and I cannot wait for 2024. So, folks, if you have not subscribed to Resurrection Wrestling, you're missing out on some great wrestling action. And, and like I said, I've really enjoyed the partnership. I love all the guys. They're a great group of guys, great talent. They're all respectful, well-mannered. And I can't wait for the future. It's going to be great. It's going to be a slobber knocker, as Jared would say.
Amen to all of that. And I'll tell you what, we got some real personal feuds out there. We got, obviously, Jacob Young and Atomic Titan, Mr. Allen and Mr. Titan. We've got Michaels and Davidson, and we've got a lot coming Resurrection Pro Wrestling. Mr. Allen, I appreciate you as always. I'm sure we'll see you Tuesday.
Welcome.
Thank you, my friend, and TB Dub.
Thank you.
TB Dub.
Thank
We'll see you soon, my friend. That was Mr. Joshua Allen, and we apologize for saying he couldn't say his last word, but we'll definitely speak with him soon as we're here talking for the last 20 or so minutes of the year with the co-owner and general manager of Resurrection Pro Wrestling, Mr. Joseph Tibbs. And I cannot stress enough a fact. One more time, you need to follow Resurrection Wrestling, YouTube Resurrection Wrestling, Instagram Resurrection Pro Wrestling, and check them out on January the 27th. Because lockdown is going to be like no other show. If you thought things were interesting at Fallout, wait until the 27th of January when we see a who's who of shows when this card. And I promise you on Sportswire Radio, we're going to be talking a lot about January 27th show. So stay tuned as the card gets to be announced and formalized. We certainly hope to be a huge part of talking about that card live here on the #1 global radio station. And my name again is the Reverend Tom Bryce. So, I always ask this question, Mr. Tibbs, to all the guests that I have come on, whether it's the promoters, whether it's my wrestlers, I do college athletics, same thing. And, what are your goals going forward for Resurrection Pro Wrestling?
Definitely wanting to work with some bigger talent. That's always been a goal, is to elevate higher and higher and higher. Trying to get some pretty big names to come down. As we saw Jimmy Controversy from GTS Wrestling came down.
Yep.
I'm in talks with some people right now. I won't give the names and stuff.
Yeah, don't do it because it'll come back. I always tell everybody, because I have so many people come on all over the world. I always tell my guests, if you have something up your sleeve and you're not supposed to share it,
that's what I'm saying.
The worst place in the world to share it, because it'll come right back to me.
Sure
I
will.
promise you.
Definitely be watching out, because you never know what could happen and who could show up in Resurrection. But I'm gonna touch on how Jimmy Controversy came to be,
sure.
and like how we got Jimmy to come down and stuff like that. We basically, me, Mac 10 from Resurrection, we went to this year's Carnage Cup 13 presented by IWA Deep South.
Yeah, we spoke about that on I think with Joshua. Yep, sure. No, you're very well.
Yeah, we went down there and got to meet the one and only Necro Butcher, which is a phenomenal guy. Nicest dude I've ever met, man. Like, meeting John Rare and some really big names, legends of the business, definitely. And we saw Jimmy, and we got to talking, and he told him about Resurrection and stuff. And Mac 10 was entered in this year's Carnage Cup 13. Did a hell of a job, man. Like going through that all those fluorescent tubes and all that. Definitely a bigger man. So
yeah, it's funny. I was watching some of his content, and obviously hardcore, and he's the other guy. I'm like, how do these guys do it? They put the light tubes. I've seen them go through like refrigerators, air conditioners, glass, shopping carts. I'm like, it's one thing to actually take a physical fall, and these guys do like literally 10 times that and some, and they just get up right afterwards. They're like, look, here's my back,
Yeah, they're phenomenal. I don't know how they do it. And one of the guys that really, really stood out, is, I'm going to get off the subject for a second. I know we've kind of probably beat this with a dead horse. But one of the guys that really stood out to me at Carnage Cup was definitely Little Sicko. I don't know how he kept getting up from those falls that he took off the rider truck, and and like definitely diving head first off of the truck. It just like how do you get up from that?
I that's exactly what I've seen in the footage of Jimmy, and I know obviously he takes it to that level and some. And you watch what these guys do, and I'm like, I have such an appreciation. I know some people go in this sport, well, they're not the real wrestlers, and they don't do. I'm like, no. When you watch these guys, right, and you watch what they put their bodies through, I mean, these guys are doing it, and it's like you got to give them so much admiration, because to me, like, I don't think anybody. I think I said this in Titan's segment, and I'm pretty sure I said this in Joshua's segment, Joshua Allen. I look at these guys, and they're like 10 times tougher than stuntmen. What stuntmen do in Hollywood, these guys do tenfold that and some.
Tenfold. Like they're phenomenal athletes. And I was talking to Jimmy and stuff. We were on the way back from the show, and we were riding in the truck together and stuff. And he pulls up his phone and shows me a poster from way back when he was just breaking into the business and stuff like that, or been a couple years. And it stood out to me because it was Jimmy Controversy versus New Jack.
Oh wow.
And
wow.
and that is such a privilege to have wrestled, one of the
Wow.
legends of the business.
Wow, God rest his soul, New Jack. Wow. I mean, he wrestled New Jack. I mean, you want to talk about the
Yeah,
stories there?
I swear, man.
Oh,
He said he was one of the nicest dudes and like easy to work with.
wow. And you think, you hear all the stories about New Jack. Well, the mass transit incident,
Yeah, yeah, no.
and you're like, you hear that total opposite. And you say to yourself, wow, I mean, that's pretty like, that almost makes the neck go stand up on your hair. Well, in my case, it probably makes my mutton chops stand up because I got so long mutton chops. But, the fact that Jimmy wrestled New Jack, and then here you are, Mr. Tibbs, you have him in your company. I mean, that's got to be where everything circles the wagons almost.
It does. And like I said, we have some big plans coming up for Resurrection. But as I said, I can't disclose that.
Well,
As
don't
of this
disclose
moment.
them, but I'm going to do something else that I'm going to do as a favor because I
Okay.
love what you guys do. I love the product. We have a lot of, obviously, of the talent that come onto Sportswire are in your company. So I'm going to have Hardcore on at some point. I don't know if it's this week. It might actually be this week. It's probably more likely next week. And he's going to wrestle Jimmy. And
Okay.
Hardcore is kind of like Jimmy's arch nemesis. I'm
Uh-huh.
going to ask Hardcore if he's not doing anything sometime, and if he could stop by, let's say in the Tennessee area, if he's not doing anything one day, maybe he would want to check out Resurrection Pro Wrestling. And I will actually go on the record in doing this, and I'll talk about this and see if maybe Mr. Hardcore might want to test his strength and test what he does in your company. So I'm going to actually do you a solid.
Thank you so much. I really do appreciate that.
Well, stay tuned for that. And speaking of people that have tuned in, somebody here who I think I might know says, I'm late. He says, if I'm late, I think I might know who that person is, but I think we've spoke about you quite a bit. So you might want to check this out or might say something else to us here. So, I mean, I'm going to ask you this question in a way to kind of sum up to continue to promote Resurrection Pro Wrestling. And is there one or two moments that stand out most so far as to why people should tune into Resurrection Pro Wrestling or maybe look to buy a ticket if they're in the Memphis area coming up on January the 27th?
So definitely, like I said, you never know what could happen at Resurrection. Like the last show, we had the Toy Box Death match, which was phenomenal. Every time that we film, every time that we try to, we do these independent shows and stuff, we really try to put on the best show that we can for the Memphis fans. And we are, I know I will go on record here. We are working to possibly try to get a permanent venue.
That's some real interesting news. And, that's so interesting because I think as you guys have made this transition away from being, again, and I think we were speaking about this off the air, I don't look at you guys as a yard company, but you're making these transitions from going into a yard and then going into where you're in a gym or in a venue. But in order to have where we talked about that business model of success, to be in a permanent place that people can always count on seeing you guys, whether it's monthly, whether it's bi-monthly or quarterly, whatever it might be, that's going to be a huge thing. And I think in one of the companies that we work with, DBW, they've made that transition of going from yard into permanent venue, and they've seen their following skyrocket. And I think with you guys to have that ability, if we can get it happen, to be into a permanent venue, I think when we talk about that business model, we want to go this to be business, no more labor of love. That's going to be really the thing in 24 that I think we're all going to be looking at most here is if we can get that permanent venue.
Definitely. And we have to, we're definitely going to be doing looking at our finances and trying to make that happen for the fans and stuff, because the fans deserve it. We've packed the house these past couple indie shows. The last Fallout, we sold out. We sold the whole show out. We had different things for sale. We had concessions. We had, them trying to sell their merch as well. The wrestlers were trying to sell, their autographed pictures and everything else. And by the end of the show, we had one picture left. We had almost virtually no concessions left.
Wow.
And we came out with a $450 profit.
What? You know what? I got to be honest with you, and I'm not going to BS you because again, I speak with a lot of companies out there and all over the place. The fact that you made a profit last week and you made a profit not just of $1 but $450, that actually shows that the company is on to something. Because there's a lot of companies I speak with that maybe they draw hundreds of tickets, 150, 160 tickets, whatever it is, and they walk away with the loss. So the fact that you guys walked away in the green, not the red, shows you guys are on to something.
Definitely. We were, we do ticket sales as we take cash and stuff and as well, and we do through Cash App, we do, from Zelle, I believe is,
Venmo is out there. Yeah,
Venmo.
Venmo.
Yeah, we did Venmo too. And by the end of the show, we had over $130 in Cash App sales. So
Wow. Well, I'll tell you what. I wish I was in the Memphis area because I would love
definitely.
to go and watch. I pray, you know what? I would love to be in the Memphis area because, I'm so excited because I see all the talent that you have in your company, then in TBW, and I see all the people, the excitement, and I just wish I was in Tennessee. Unfortunately, that's kind of one of my things on Sportswire, Mr. Tibbs. There's so many places we speak about on Sportswire, and I unfortunately can't get to any of them. It's like the big bummer. But I will tell you one thing. Even if you're like me, not in the Memphis area, you can watch these shows on YouTube. Resurrection Wrestling. Follow them on Instagram. Resurrection Pro Wrestling. This is a company, I promise you, that's going places. And there's an old adage here. A rising tide lifts all boats. And a rising tide is going to be lifted here by Mr. Tibbs and Mr. Brady. They're doing a phenomenal job. I loved what I saw earlier this summer in that Resurrection TBW feud, seeing some of the talent, some of the big names. I have a feeling maybe we'll see more of that in 24. Stay tuned. But in the meantime, just think about the stars that we've seen cross this company and who this company has to offer. This is why January the 27th can't come soon enough, and we probably will have coverage here real soon with D'Angelo Flame. That's right, D'Angelo Flames coming on to Sportswire. Going to speak with him. Going to figure out the day. If it's not this week, definitely next week. And Mr. Brady, you're going on radar. You're on our resume. We're hitting you up right afterwards to schedule that day because we want more Resurrection coverage. We need it. The fans want it, and we're going to give it to you. The people want it. We're going to make sure it happens. I could ask you a lot more questions, and I realize our time is coming up to an end. It has been an absolute honor. Before I get to closing thoughts, is there anything else that you want to say about this company that we should know of or anything else that you want to say to the people here listening live on Sportswire Radio?
Definitely. Definitely come check us out on YouTube. If you haven't watched Resurrection Wrestling before, come and check us out on YouTube. You can follow us on Instagram. You can follow us on YouTube. Just hit the subscribe button. We definitely have some very big things coming up, for the 2024 year. And we can't be more proud and more excited to show everyone that Resurrection Wrestling is the up and coming company of 2024.
Amen to that. And that's why I've subscribed and nearly 500 other people have subscribed. And you want to definitely join them, join the conversation, join the movement. One more time, Resurrection, YouTube at Resurrection Wrestling, Resurrection Pro Wrestling on Instagram, TBW. Make sure you support them. Also, you can check us out here. And it has absolutely been a tremendous honor. And I want to give you the floor. Anything else you want to plug, share, or say? The floor is yours. I look forward to more coverage of the company real soon. Fire away, my friend.
Definitely, it's been an honor to be first time on Sportswire Radio. I have had a tremendous time. Thank you so much for your hospitality. I really do appreciate it.
Sure.
Definitely come check us out, everyone. If you have never watched us before, come watch us. Resurrection on YouTube. Watch TBW on YouTube. They have been phenomenal to work with. and man, to see what we do in 2024.
Oh, I can't wait. 2024. It's so funny because you say 2024. And I remember last year saying, oh, well, it's almost 2023. And here we
Yeah.
are. We've got like a little over a month left, and time certainly flies when you're having fun. And we certainly had a lot of fun here. I can't wait for more Resurrection Pro Wrestling coverage. I can't wait for more talent to come on here and start that conversation. And definitely talk a little bit more about Jimmy Controversy with Hardcore, because Jimmy Controversy is a guy I really want to dive into more. But we got so many other people: Rage, Mac 10, obviously D'Angelo. We got a lot of people to talk about here on this company, and we're going to definitely do it here real soon. Absolutely looking forward to the future. Enjoy the rest of your night. I look forward to more coverage here. We'll probably talk about you guys on Tuesday with Jacob Young. But until then, I can't wait for the future. 2024 can't come soon enough. And I certainly hope, for one, Mr. Titan and Mr. Allen are in the same building on January 27th. But that's why you got to support Resurrection Pro Wrestling to find out. Thank you so much. All right, that was the co-owner and general manager of Resurrection Pro Wrestling, Joseph Tibbs, who, by the way, Beast, you got nothing on him, and I can't wait on TBW-TV next year to see more Beast and more Joseph Tibbs confrontations, because that certainly made the earth rumble and some. But until then, my name is the Reverend Tom Bryce, your voice of all wrestling, the host of the Sports Report, your owner of Sportswire Radio, the #1 global radio station, here again with Resurrection Pro Wrestling's co-owner and general manager, Joseph Tibbs. YouTube Resurrection Wrestling to watch Fallout, the most recent show. Resurrection Pro Wrestling on Instagram to find out more. If you're on YouTube, LinkedIn, and Twitter, tomorrow night, 9 o'clock Eastern Time, Jackson Sabre of DBW to talk Cyrus, to talk November to Remember, plus much, much more. You will not want to miss this one here on YouTube at Sportswire Radio 6579 backspace streams. Also, check us out on sportswireradio.org via the Watch Now and the Listen Live buttons to tune into what Jackson Sabre has to offer. Also, Dominant Breakout Wrestling on YouTube, DBW Wrestling on Twitter, Facebook, Dominating Backyard Wrestling. Check it all out here. But if you're on sportswireradio.org, you're going back to your regularly scheduled programming. And until then, Tuesday night, also Jacob Young to talk more about the Atomic Freaking Titan. But good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. On the #1 global radio station, that is Sportswire Radio. Actually, I got one more comment before we leave, and that was Shane Davidson. Boy, Shane Davidson comes on here and says, it isn't Joseph Tibbs. Well, Armageddon Shane Davidson, we actually spoke a little bit about you. You might want to check out the middle of the show, and you can find out what that was. And I'm sure I'll see you on Sportswire Radio, maybe even for Tuesday's show with Jacob Young. So, Mr. Davidson, you missed us. I hope to see you here real soon, but you came a little too late. But until then, though, we'll see you real soon. Be seeing you real soon, as John Wick in those movies used to famously say toward him.